So this is a bit off piece for this channel. This is usually a commercial photography channel. It's about being a commercial photographer. I am a commercial photographer. I shoot ad campaigns. I work in the still life, food and beverage realm. That's what I do. I work from my studio. This is my office. This is where we're at. Now, recently I made a video about becoming a photographer when you're broke. And at the start of that, I acknowledged my privilege. That being that I'm white, I'm male, I'm British, and I sound posh. And I think there's a bit of a misunderstanding on that. So I want to talk about white male privilege in photography. And I'm sure it extends to all other areas of the world as well. But I should preface this with I am not a learned fellow. I have a degree, I have a master's, but I'm not, up there with the elite academics of the world. I'm also should note that I am absolutely happy with being proved wrong or being re-educated or learning new things. I'm very happy with it. I'm not one of these people who's stuck in their ways and goes, this is what it is because that's what I think. I change my opinions on things all the time. You'll notice if you go back to my older videos, I will have a completely new outlook on things since then. And I think that's important as a human, just to be able to go, do you know what, I thought that, now I thought this, and next week I might think something else. So I don't want to cause anybody any offence here, but I do want to clarify what I meant. Now, although I seem rather posh and well-to-do, I grew up on a council estate. My dad worked in a factory. My mum didn't work or had odd jobs here and there. We were pretty poor, but not that poor. My dad is a Spanish immigrant. My mother is a white British person. My dad had to change his name to Jason from Manuel because we lived in a Combat 18 area. Google that if you don't know what it is, but basically not good to be a foreigner there. But I'm still white and British, and I present white, British, well-to-do, which is important for this context. Now, I had a hardish life. Not that hard, but hardish. I fell upon very hard times. I had some rather awful things happen in my life, which I wouldn't wish upon anybody. I witnessed some rather horrific things I wouldn't wish upon anybody, to people close to me. And I ended up being homeless. I ended up being addicted to various substances. I ended up being heavily medicated. Having a pretty hard... I had to start it afresh pretty much from 2010 with absolutely nothing. And it was difficult because I had nothing and I looked like I had nothing, which didn't help either. Now, these are hardships I had to go through, which everyone has to go through. That is the course of life. Some of us are lucky, and I do not begrudge anyone who's lucky. I've got friends whose parents bought them their photo studios. Me, not so much. I had to beg, steal, borrow, and slowly graft for it. But I don't begrudge anybody who gets given it all. If I could, and hopefully I will be able to give my children things, I will give them things because I can, and that is all good with me. Now, I had to work hard for this. I faced many hurdles to get to where I am today. But amongst all of those hurdles, I didn't face being discriminated against for being female, of any different identity, or of any different race or ethnicity or religion, which is perhaps not looked favourably upon by many white people in the UK. I didn't have to deal with that. Yes, I have a foreign surname, but it's kind of negated by the way that my mouth does this talking stuff. And I paid for elocution lessons because I realised give me a couple of beers and you will hear the chav in me come out. But when I went to university, I realised that I wasn't like everybody else there, so I paid to have that sorted, which was my own choice. White male privilege in photography means that, yes, you have to go through those struggles, and yes, life isn't handed to you on a platter, but you don't also have to deal with people looking down on you because you're a woman. You don't have to deal with people not giving you a job because you're Asian or you're Hispanic or whatever it may be, like anything but white male. You still have to graft. You still don't get opportunities. You still miss out on things. There's still things you don't get to do. But it is not, by any far stretch of the imagination, the same as being anybody else. It just isn't. And saying that it is just so narrow-minded. And for me to say, oh, do you know what? I didn't get to enter that thing there because it was only for female photographers. That's not fair. That's nonsense. Of course it's fair. The reason that exists is because female photographers are at a disadvantage in this industry, which is wrong. But it is also a fact. They are. They're at a disadvantage. The reason the People of Colour Awards exists is because they do not get fair representation or fair chance to even get into a position to enter to get fair representation in a white male-dominated world. Now, this is not necessarily your fault that it's a white male-dominated world. but you have to acknowledge it. I didn't choose it to be a white male dominated world when I was born, but by the lottery of birth, I came out white and British and male. And I don't believe there is a more fortunate way to be pushed out into this world. But that doesn't mean I didn't work hard. And it doesn't mean that you didn't work hard. And me saying that we must acknowledge our white male privilege is not to say that you didn't work hard. But other people work just as hard but didn't get the same opportunities because they're not white and male. And that is something we do have to acknowledge. The fact that Nikon in recent years released their team of ambassador photographers as all white men. I doubt very much that there wasn't another person who wasn't a white man who wasn't equally able to fill that role. And yes, if it was all the case that it was just happened to be that, then fair enough, but it isn't. And I know it isn't because I know Nikon shooters who are not white men who are better than them. I just know that. But they don't get fair representation. And some of it comes down to they don't put themselves out there that much because they've spent so much of their life being turned away. Now, of course, this doesn't mean you should feel bad for being a white male photographer. That wasn't my point at all. But it does mean that you need to be aware of your privilege, and you should always check your privilege. I think that's a really important thing to do. Whenever I'm giving a talk somewhere, I am always aware of the privilege I have. And that's not me feeling that I must apologise for it. I can't help that I was born white and male. But what I can help is to make sure that people in my studio get fair chance. They get fair chance to work here. They get fair chance to be whatever it may be, regardless of gender, of age, of ethnicity, or of whatever it may be. That everyone gets a fair chance because I am in a position of power, partially due to me being a white man. Not exclusively, but partially due to that. And with that, I have a responsibility. I hope that helps clarify things. I am sure you'll let me know in the comments below if it doesn't. And I am absolutely not at a point where I go, what I've just said is fact. That is not who I am. That is not where I am in life. That is what I currently understand. And I want to learn more. If you feel that I don't have it right, let me know. If you feel that I am still not aware of the extent of my privilege, do let me know. And because I don't want to be that guy. I don't want to be that belligerent white man who's like, well, I work just as hard as everybody else, because maybe I did, but I still got further for being a white man. And I want to be sure that the world that I create for the people around me and the children we have is not the world that I was in, because I don't think that's a good place to be. I don't think the fact that, my mother didn't go to college because she was a woman, it was expected that women went out and got married, is the right thing. She couldn't have gone and done a degree in photography. That just wasn't acceptable in that particular culture. So anyway, I just wanted to clarify that and put it out there and just make it really clear that just because you're a white man doesn't mean you didn't work hard, but being a white man does give you privilege. It is just a fact of life. Anyway, I've rambled on plenty. I'll see you all soon. Bye-bye.